Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Papa Tikyo Reacts, the Friday series on the Tkyosam channel, where I react to Japanese videos of, like, foreigners in Japan or whatever. English videos, Japan-related stuff. And while I'm studying Japanese here, I got my little pen and my notebook here, and I'm going to study some stuff. And, anyway, today we're watching a video called Why I Left Japan by this guy called Alex Remotely. And I don't know, we'll see how this goes. Now, and like always, if you guys like these reaction videos and you'd like to see me do more, then make sure you let me know in the comment section, and make sure to smash the like button if you like the video. And yeah, like always, all the links for everything are in the video description. And let's get into it, shall we? Okay. Koosh.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a software engineer and I no longer live in Japan. Here's a quick recap.
No longer live in Japan.
So I moved to Japan at the beginning of 2022 during COVID.
Hey, at least he shaves his head,
as a software engineer. My company
George
allowed me to
Costanza
relocate.
stuff going on.
I lived in Chiba right here. And my last
Lived
video
in
was
Chiba.
uploaded more than a year ago. So long story short, in February 20...
Wait, where is he in Chiba? There's Skytree, so he was living on the border at Chiba, it looks like. Okay.
And my last video was uploaded more than a year ago. So long story short, in February 2024, this year, I moved back to Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne.
And aside from everything else going on in my life, Japan itself played a very big role in my decision to move back. I want to go through the mistakes that I've made, and perhaps I could help you as well if you plan to make the life-changing move to Japan. So let me just start by saying I've always loved Japan. The food, the people, the onsens, and baby metal. None of that changed.
Damn right.
Most of the things I'm going to mention left a dent in me because I had different expectations going into this. I realized that the few weeks of annual leave that I get to see the parts that I do like, I can all the same enjoy while living in Australia full time. So I read some of the old comments on the channel, and a lot of you guys assumed that it was a dream setup. Getting to live in Japan while enjoying the benefits of working remotely for a foreign company, which means not subjecting myself to the infamous Japanese working culture. And I thought so too originally, until I realized that when you effectively start your life over, you have to socialize, unless you want to become a hermit. And when you work full-time, you can only do so after work, which by itself is a challenge, but I took it to the next level because... So I lived right over here, which is just across the river from Tokyo Prefecture, but is technically...
Moto Yawata, okay. Yeah, he's on the border at Chiba.
Chiba Prefecture. In case you didn't know, all the events, all the interesting stuff is in Tokyo, even though this does not seem...
Yep, even though it doesn't seem far, yeah, you got it right there.
Far. It's an hour-long trip one way to Shinjuku. Not easy to do with a busy work schedule. So, as a result, sometimes I would not socialize for weeks. I had not realized...
Wait. Can I mean, maybe he'll explain it later, but I just want to get this out of the way. If he's working remote, how does he have a visa to stay there for 2 years? Is he coming, like, is he going and, like, doing an Airbnb for, like, 3 months at a time and then going to other countries or something? Like, how's that working? And then also, yeah, man, I mean, like... this is the reason why I live in Shinjuku. I lived outside of Ikebukuro for like, what? It was a 10-minute train ride, but then you realize it's a 10-minute walk plus to the train station, and then the train doesn't come every hour because it's like one of those offshoot commuter trains. And then on top of that, the local train doesn't come that often. So even though I was like a 10-minute train ride from the center of the city, I'd still have to wait like 30 minutes just to get to the place using public transportation. It sucked ass, you know? It wasn't fun. Like, there's no point to being like part of the city and like being in your own cool apartment if you're not willing to, like, you know, like right now I live in a small rat hole apartment, but I'm right in the center of Tokyo. And like, I'm the kind of guy where I'm like, hey, as long as I got high-speed internet, a decent kitchen, and like, you know, a bathroom, I'm pretty, you know, have toothbrush will travel. But I mean, the whole point of working remotely is so you don't have to go to an office, right? I mean, like, I don't know. Well, maybe he'll elaborate. Let's keep going.
Realize how much impact this would have on my mental health, but honestly, this was probably one of the top 3 reasons for me moving back to Australia. If I were to start over, I would definitely move close to all the action. After 2 years in Japan, My Japanese has improved, but I'm still unable to handle anything remotely difficult, like a conversation with a tax office employee. I was kind of hoping that my Japanese would improve naturally after moving to Japan, but you
Nah,
have to
dude.
be immersed in
You gotta
the Japanese speaking environment. And again,
exactly.
remote work does not allow for that. This is actually a thing that I had not expected.
That's not true. That's not true. You can sit down and you can do flashcards like I'm doing right now. You can do flashcards and you can listen to Netflix all day, dude. It's not, come on, bro. For all of you guys who are watching this that are like thinking about remote, like you can work remotely in Japan if you have that possibility. You just got to listen to Japanese nonstop, man. I mean, like, dude, I'm a fat guy, right? So I'm not really one to talk about discipline when it comes to exercise. But, when it comes to language learning, you're not using your body. You're just being immersed. Like, if you really want it, you'll do it. But dudes like this, I'm guessing that they're just here for, like, the holiday. Like, when you realize that you actually have to learn the language to function as an adult, it's tough, bro.
Expected to affect me at all. I had traveled to Japan many times, and I always found the city layout, the urban vibe, the concrete kind of charming. Turns out for me, being a tourist and actually living there are two completely different things.
Well,
This
yeah,
is what a
dude.
typical suburb in Melbourne looks like. And this is what the city I lived in Japan looked like.
Yeah, dude, there are other cities that look like this, though. I mean, they're not super colorful like this, but like if you move to the countryside, it's not as well kept as this. But um, you can, like you chose to live on an outskirts city. It's still the city, man. Like
Melbourne
this is why in Japan, like in big cities, we have parks.
like. And this is what the city I lived in Japan
Yeah, that's ugly
looked
though.
like.
I
You can
totally
see that
feel
the
you on
grass
that.
is nowhere to be found. But it wasn't just a lack of greenery, it's also the uniformity of the buildings, as if they're North Korean citizens watching a military parade.
Yep, yep.
All of the buildings are either beige, gray, or
I
brown.
agree. I
I
agree.
grew
Yeah,
up
that
in a
sucks.
moderately dry environment with low-ish UV all year round. In Japan, though, the humidity gets insanely high, especially during and around Tsuyu, which is the rainy season. The temperatures get up to 32, 33 degrees Celsius, with humidity being as high as 85%. It's somewhat typical for Southeast Asia, but let me show you how my skin felt about it. If you're sensitive, please turn away. Ready? So neither me nor doctors could figure out the roots of this condition, but nothing helped. It would reappear over and over again, and it hasn't appeared once since I've come back from Japan.
Dude, that might have been, well, one, for the humidity issue, you can take care of that. I mean, like, every air conditioner has a dehumidifier function on it, and there are ways to make your, the hot summer is only for about 2 months out of the year, dude. And if your skin was like that, it could have been your soap, it could have been the laundry detergent that you were using for your bedding. I mean, there's a bunch of different reasons why your skin shit like that could happen, but like you got to investigate. You can't just be like, okay, the doctor said I'm fucked and I can't do anything. Like you got to be proactive about it. Like like I had horrible asthma when I was in America, but then I realized that I need to clean my apartment. Like I need to clean my apartment, and also that like humidity is better for people with asthma. So like luckily in Japan I don't need to, but if I was back in America, if somewhere was dry, I would have had to buy a humidity like what is it, a humidifier. But yeah, man, I mean like again, like when you're coming here for only like a 1 or 2 year stint, or like, oh, I can leave any time, then you're just kind of like, it's easy to put everything out on the back burner because you're like, if anything fucks up, I can just leave. And I don't know. Guys, tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. God, we're only like a couple minutes into this. I keep pausing.
Which I take as a sign that I'm incompatible with the Japanese summer. Tokyo is a very crowded place. Actually, all the big cities and popular spots in Japan are. And with international tourists, once again, unleashed, you kind of have to get used to being slightly squeezed all the time. This also means that you have to get used to planning everything way in advance, which
Yep.
is not something I excel at, as you will find out. I wasn't sure whether to include it, but please bear in mind that this is my personal experience and not an objective measure in any way. Japan is a collectivist society, and the main rule by which people live is not to cause trouble to others. What that means in real life is that you're supposed to, at all times, analyze the expectations of others and act accordingly. Japan is very orderly and organized because of that principle. It's more like this, and I'm more like this. I love being able to change things on a whim. I decide where to go on a Saturday, that very Saturday morning. I'm guilty of texting friends to come meet me in an hour. This goes against the grain of the Japanese society. People schedule meetings with friends days and often weeks in advance. Restaurants will hold you accountable for how many people show up to a reservation. It is actually one of the things that is keeping the Japanese.
Yeah, but I mean, again, the thing is with that though, is that like, you know, I complain about that too, but you can mold your life around that, you know, like, you know, for example, I don't like doing the whole reserving a restaurant, because if you're dealing with foreigners, it's not usually Japanese people, but if you're dealing with foreigners, they will flake. And if they flake, you got to pay for their portion, especially if it's a party. But you can, like, instead of doing that, though, like, I just have my parties at the hub now. Like, I don't go to the hub that often, but when I, like, you know, if I'm going to pick somewhere where everyone can pay for their stuff individually and I don't need to make a reservation and I know it's going to be empty around 7 p.m., I'll just be like, yeah, let's go meet at the hub. Like, let's all get, like, you know, 20 people together. The place is going to be empty. But yeah, I mean, if you have foreign friends, you can do that too. But like the whole, like, I need to be what do you call it? Impulsive, compulsive, spontaneous or whatever. It's like you can have that too, man. But like you got to remember, like Japanese people for the most part, they have their shit together. It's not that like they love routine and that they're rigid. It's just they have their shit together, dude. Like they know what they want. And they know that, like, you know, like that's why they're like, okay, I'll schedule you for next week. And it's like, why? It's like, because I want to go home and just chill, or I have other hobbies that I want to do, and meeting you is not a priority. It's not that, like, that's bad, but, like, if you want to find people like that, they're out there, but you got to find them. Not everyone's going to be like that, you know? Otherwise, you just make friends with foreigners.
Japanese society uniform. So this is one of the first things that comes up if you Google the culture of apologizing in Japan.
To improve the
Japanese
atmosphere.
people perceive apologies very differently from Western people. I read the research that compared the culture of apologizing in America to that in Japan, where for American people, an apology establishes who is at fault, so it's a recognition of guilt. For Japanese people, it serves a completely different role. It's more of a recognition of the burden suffered by the target. For a foreigner, though, this may feel very challenging, and I most certainly felt that at times, having to apologize for little things. After some time, it just started feeling like living in constant guilt. Okay, so this isn't just me, Japanese.
Wait. Apologizing for everything? What do you mean? Like saying sumimasen? Or whatever? すいません。大変申し訳ありませんでした。I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, you don't need to feel guilty. It's just like, it's, what do you call it? It's like policy. It's like resume, you know? You just, you do it because it's part of the thing, you know? Like, if you go to a football drinkers bar, you're like, oh, yeah, Mino #1. You know, you go in there, big shiny bubbles, or I don't know. I've never been to a British football pub, but you know what I mean? Like, every place has its own etiquette, dude, but, like, you don't need to take it so seriously. Like, it seems like you really internalized this and twisted it into something bigger than it needs to be, and it really doesn't need to be that way, man. Like, it's chill, but I mean, like, at the same time, it's like, yeah, like, if you're late, you say, like, sorry, I'm late, you know, and you apologize, or, like, but I mean, like, it's just, like, it's procedure, man. Like, it doesn't really need to, like, have heavy meaning, like, you're associating it with.
These people complain about it too. Everything from government-related processes to signing up for gym membership requires you sitting down with a staff member and listening to their very thorough and very lengthy explanation of the process. For example, opening a bank account took me nearly a month. On the first visit, I sat down with a bank employee and I was taken through a lengthy explanation of how the bank account opening process works. So I had to fill out a pretty long form, obviously by hand. And one of the fields in the form was the landline phone number of my employer, which I believed at the time my company did not have. I told that to the employee, and after a 2-hour negotiation and an escalation to the manager, during which I was told that companies without a phone number do not exist,
yeah, dude, that's
they
sketchy,
agreed
man.
to use my employment contract as the verification for my employment instead of the landline phone number. I came back in a month. I was met by the same employee. I was given the same form. We went through the same process of negotiation, during which I had to explain the previous history of me trying to open the bank account. Got escalated to the very same manager who said the same phrase, that companies without a phone number do not exist. Long story short, after some time, I managed to convince them that I do have a job, and they did open me a bank account. I lost some nerves and probably about 15 years of my life in the process. So there are parts of the infrastructure in Japan that
Wait. So what you're saying is that because you don't really understand how Japan works and you couldn't explain it in Japanese, that you got angry when they asked you for something that's very common, which means that your employer has a phone number that they can reach you at. I mean, most people that live in Japan, they're working at a company that's in Japan, and all the companies here have a phone number. There's not a single company that doesn't have, like, it's like, oh yeah, this is the cell phone. Even if it's a cell phone, like if it's just your boss and it's like a self-employed place, if it's an office, you're eventually, like, they will have a phone, dude. So it's just like, what you're saying is that I needed it to be my way. I didn't want to work their way or their system, and instead of like talking to somebody who has dealt with this before, I just wanted to complain about it and like make a big deal out of it. Is that what you're saying? Like, come on, dude. I'm trying to sympathize here, but it just seems like whiny. Okay, yeah, let's keep going.
world class, probably like top 3 in the world. Public transportation is one example. If you've had a chance to travel to Japan, you know how good the trains are. But if you look at the other side, for example, payments, they're like the bottom of the barrel. And the reason for that is Japan has this like very unique culture of not being able to quickly adapt to technological changes. Some of my friends told me that they used to carry around up to $400 worth of cash in their wallets at all times, because that was the only universally accepted method of payment. Post-COVID, the situation definitely has changed. And now it looks like this. So what you see on the screen is a sign in a convenience store with all the accepted payment methods.
Yeah,
so
dude.
you can see how many there are. You go to one store and they would only accept, say, PayPay. Another store would only accept cash and Visa and MasterCard, right? The situation is definitely improving, and I really do hope that in 5 years or so, it will all be reduced to just a handful of payment methods. Okay, so I have this laptop with me on.
Wait. So you were complaining about how there weren't enough payment methods, and then there are enough payment methods, and then I'm not trying to be a dick and cherry pick here. I'm just trying to understand. It's like, dude, Japan has so many like they have the electronic card, like the Suica. I always use that in emergencies, or if I do like online like auction stuff, I use my PayPay account. But most of the time, I just use my credit card, because the credit cards here have an IC chip where you just touch it to their little machine and then it just charges you. You don't even need to swipe it or put in a number or anything. It's awesome. So, but if you go to bar hopping or something, then you do need cash. But I mean, like, dude, it's Japan. You're not gonna get mugged. So unless you forget your wallet all the time, like I always carry around at least $200, you know, sometimes 400, but usually at least $200 on me at once. But yeah, man, like it's not that big a deal. Just learn and adapt, bro. Learn and adapt. Okay, let's keep going.
Which I have a list of things that I really appreciate about Japan. The first thing that comes to mind is obviously food. Japanese food is of very high quality. Grocery store food is great. Fast food is also great. It's cheap. It's very tasty. Tokyo has all sorts of different restaurants. I was surprised to find out that Indian food in Japan is insanely good. If you're interested, drop me a comment and I will let you know which Indian restaurant to go to in Tokyo.
It's because they loaded up with butter, bro.
That is a big one. That includes public transportation. That includes convenience stores, vending machines, you name it. Prices are very low.
That's a really great shot.
Especially if you're a drinker. The sense of novelty, if you want to feel like you're on an alien spaceship or an alien planet, go to Japan. That's the place. I think it's a big one for me. It's the obsessions in Japan. If you're into vintage records or, I don't know, film photography, whatever kind of difficult to find stuff. You will find that in Japan, and you will find people that go so deep on that topic, like you wouldn't believe. Travel in Japan is great. It's my absolute personal favorite. There's so much to experience and see anywhere you go.
That's a
There's
great
beautiful
shot.
nature,
Fuck, these shots are
there's
amazing.
beautiful historical
Damn.
buildings and towns. There's onsens and ryokans, which is the Japanese traditional inn. And one more addition to the list that I've experienced for the first time this year is skiing in Japan, which is apparently unparalleled. For the same amount of money that you would spend skiing one day in Australia, you can probably ski for 3 or 4 days in Japan, all inclusive, with gear rental, etc. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Itadakimashita. Itadakimasu. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that was Alex, remote Alex or something. That I'll put the link for his stuff down below. But yeah, thank you for making the video. Thanks for giving your opinion about this stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, like, I know I came off a little bit harsh in here, but overall, dude, like, I want you to shit, microphone, forgot to put the microphone levels back up. Anyway, I want you guys, like, you know, I consider myself the opposite of a gatekeeper. Like, I want you guys to come to Japan. I want you guys to learn Japanese. I want you to have a good life here. There's plenty of Japan to go around for everybody, man. But it's just like when you see that video, it's like, yeah, Japan is in Bali, dude. It's not set up for remote workers, and hopefully it will never be set up for remote workers. Like, I want people that come to Japan to work here because they want to actually live, like, permanently and contribute and stuff. Like, even me, man, like, I don't work remote. I guess you could say it's remote. I mean, like, I do at-home translation, but it's not like I have to be logged into, like, an office app or something throughout the day. But, I mean, the whole point is, though, it's like I worked 10-plus years, like, Monday through Saturday, working for the Japanese man, you know, the Japanese system. So I'm totally for you about, like, you know, having freedom and being freelance. And I even know there's some of my viewers who do the same thing. We even have a section of it on my Discord called IT Work From Home, which you guys should join the Discord, by the way. Links down below. But yeah, I mean, overall, man, it's like if you're moving to any culture, anywhere in the world, like any other country, like, you gotta learn to adapt, dude. And like, when you're putting yourself out in the middle of nowhere, and like, there's simple steps you can do to make it better for you. And the first thing you did was like picking a shitty place to live, and like a city that has nothing cool around it. You know, you don't want to isolate yourself from the beginning. And yeah, you know, like, as I always tell my viewers, that you shouldn't live in Tokyo or a big one-tier city at the beginning, because once you do that and you realize how convenient it is to not learn Japanese and just to hang out with other foreigners, like, a lot of people just fall into that habit loop, and that's really bad. That's why it's like being out in the middle of nowhere and like having to just confront like being Japanese and like moving through society and just having to immerse all the time. It's a lot better. It's harder, but you're going to grow from it. But anyway, yeah, guys, with that being said, that is my reaction video. If you liked it, smash like button, leave a comment telling me you want them again, and tell me if there's any other videos you'd like me to react to. Put the title as a comment down in the comment section below. And like always, I'm going to put a playlist for all the rest of my reaction videos that I've made so far. So go ahead and check those out too. And this guy, I'm going to put Alex's links down in the video description, so make sure to go over to check out his channel, and if you like it, drop him a subscription and follow too. And like always, thanks for watching, guys. You stay black, and Tkyosam deshita. Yeah, buddy. Bam.
It's time you bit the bullet and started caring about something with all your heart and energy. But you can't care about it if you're always holding yourself back in case it doesn't work out.